Roundtable discussion.
Welcome to UFO in the Know. Welcome to our roundtable discussion. Here we want to have sort of a loose, informal discussion, no slides, no script, no bullet points. We're just going to talk about whatever's on our mind with regards to conspiracies, paranormal, UFOs, and what have you. And I think Bart has some, Hobbs has some things he wants to get off his chest. So I'll let him go ahead. I think have a few things I want to talk about too, but I'm pretty sure we probably want to talk about the same things because we mentioned something that I think is in a lot of people's minds right now in regards to conspiracies. But go ahead. Oh, I can't hear you anymore.
The
Oh,
thing that, sorry,
there you
the
go.
thing that's really been weighing on me, well, it hasn't been weighing on me at all. I've been noticing a lot of people talking about it, and a lot of people are coming up with their conclusions and and that's fine. They come up with their theories and ideas about what's going on, and it has nothing to do with UFOs. But unfortunately, it has nothing to do with UFOs. But at the same time, though, when you get into the UFO topic, you're automatically into conspiracies. Like you have to address conspiracies. They surround you. They surround the topic. Government conspiracies surround the topic. I'm not a humongous conspiracy believer, but you have to accept some level of conspiracies, and then you find yourself wrapped up in a lot of them. Well, the one that everybody's wrapped up in today is the Jeffrey Epstein client list, right? So Pam Bondi came out and she said she had the Epstein files on her desk, and I believe there was mention of a list. And when she said that, she said she had got them on my desk.
This is something Donald Trump has talked about. The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. It's sitting on my desk right now to review. It's sitting on my desk right now to review. It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
And then now they've come out and said there's no list, right? Well, okay, so everybody knows that if there's not a list, we can compile a list. The evidence should be there. There's apparently thousands of videos of people and, these underage children and things like that. So they could compile a list, sure. Right. So we know that this has been said that there was one, and now that there's not one. And a lot of people have come to this conclusion. And look, I'm not a Trumpanzee. I like Trump, but I'm not
Yeah,
I'm not a big Trump guy.
not a Trump
It's not.
cultist. You don't
I'm
just
not a
believe
cultist.
everything
Yeah,
he says just because it's him. Like you have to,
exactly. Some
yeah,
people believe he can do no wrong. And
yeah.
I just don't think that's the case. And but I'm not a Trump hater. So but I look at it and people will say, oh, well, they're not releasing the list because Trump's on it. Well, all of these case files, all of this whole criminal investigation has been in the hands of the Justice Department and the FBI, or somewhere in the government for years, like years during the Biden administration. That I don't remember if it even came during Trump's first administration. If he was on that list, we know without a doubt they would have, if they knew that he was a client, they would have released at bare minimum a redacted list of
They
a few
did.
people and taken the opportunity to arrest him. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
released the flight logs. They've
Oh,
released flight logs.
okay. So that's what that was, the flight logs, not
But when you
actual client list.
Yeah, but when you own a private jet, you charter it out. Millionaires and billionaires
Let me stop you right
are
there.
millionaires and billionaires for a reason. Yeah,
That jet was called the Lolita Express. When you're getting on the Lolita Express, what do you want? You want some Lolitas to join you on the Express, right?
is
Now,
but was that literally the name of it?
yeah. The lo
I want to look this up because
Okay, okay. I don't know if it
because no,
literally
I
said that.
believe you. Uh, So I don't know if that was what was his jet named. I don't know if that's the case or not. Because that
Maybe it could have been a nickname, but that name's been mentioned
I
since.
feel like it was a nickname, dude. Because I don't think you're gonna ride around. Yeah. Okay. Here it is. It says on his private plane nicknamed the Lolita Express.
Okay,
Okay. I don't know who nicknamed it. But I mean that.
maybe Bill Clinton did.
So maybe. Yeah. I would imagine.
Yeah,
That sounds like something Hillary would come up with.
yeah.
But when I think about it, like, okay, so they've released that list. Okay, when you own a private jet, people charter it. That that's what they do. You don't just let it sit in a hangar all the time, because it's expensive, and I get it. But they released that, but they didn't release the client list, right? Like a list of client names. All
Mhm.
right, so I'm going to explain this first, and then I'm going to go into what I'm talking about. All right, we know that when an intelligence agency does an operation, they deny it ever existed. When they send in Delta Force operators or somebody like that and they get caught, they deny their existence, they deny their involvement. It never happened.
Mhm.
When a politician does something they're not supposed to, they lie. Okay, they tell a lie.
Yeah.
So the media also, they tell a lie. They don't act like it never happened. They tell a lie.
Mhm.
So if you didn't want to release this document or these names, just these names, if you didn't want to release it and you're going to choose, you're either going to lie or it never existed. Okay, you have two of those choices. You don't know who the person is making that choice, but they have these two choices. When they choose it doesn't exist, we never had it, that's not a thing, that's an intelligence agency automatically. So we can go ahead and say, beyond a shadow of a doubt, intel agencies had something to do with this. We don't know exactly what. We can speculate all day, but we know that they had something to do with it. Okay, so they're the reason it's not being released.
Mhm.
All right. So, but we know for a fact though that if Trump was on that list and the Biden administration knew about it, they would have already prosecuted him. Because they could have redacted some of the names and just went after
Yeah.
him. They could have
And
went after a few key figures.
let me stop you right there too. One of the things I heard a video today of them telling the flight logs, and they said just because you're on these flight logs, we can't say for sure you knew what was going on or you were involved in it, or you could have just been invited there for some sort of social function not related to underage girls, but the flight logs itself are not a prosecutable, a damning evidence right there that you did this.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's what I'm saying. Like if you go to the airport and you charter a jet and you charter it from anybody, it doesn't matter. You go to the the desk and you charter a jet. You're going to get whichever company has a flight available. You're going to get on whatever plane is available, and you're probably going to take a private jet so you can get there faster. So
Mhm.
people do that. Even professional podcasters charter private jets. That's what they do.
Well,
They do that.
let me stop you right there because I thought the flight logs specifically said, yes, this is logged that this celebrity, this political figure did go to Epstein Island. Not that they logged a flight to somewhere else, but to Epstein Island. And even that in
Well,
itself doesn't mean that you slept with underage prostitutes. That just means that you were invited there for some reason.
I'm trying to look that up too because
Okay.
I'm not under the no, Epstein's flight logs did not only log visits to his private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. They documented travel between various locations across the globe, according to Business Insider. They included areas where Epstein maintained homes: New York, Paris, New Mexico, Palm Beach, Florida. Also reveal numerous flights to other destinations, both domestic and international, including Washington, D.C., New Jersey, Brazil, Portugal. So they were released in court documents related to Epstein's sex trafficking network exposed. Okay. All right. So yeah, no, they didn't just log that. And I do think that the ones that Donald Trump was on only logged him going from Florida to New York and back. But I could be wrong.
Hmm.
Could be wrong. So let me preface that. But so we know that. So let's go ahead and take out of the equation that a politician, and people say Donald Trump's not a politician. Well, he's been president for nearly 6 years. He's a politician. Sorry to tell you.
Yeah, he is
He may not have
supportive.
ran as one.
That's
He
not
may
really
not have ran
debatable.
as one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. He may not have ran as one,
yeah.
but he is a politician. And the second term shows you how much more of a politician he has become than his first term.
Hmm.
So politicians lie,
Hmm.
intelligence agencies deny, and it clearly shows that. And we know that intelligence agencies have a lot of pull over what the president does or doesn't release, based on the JFK files during Donald Trump's first term, which he wanted to release.
Hmm.
I don't remember if he got how much of it he got released, but I'm pretty sure the CIA came in and stopped him and was like, hey,
Yeah.
there's now, does that mean he can't release it? Sure, he can, but
Hmm.
they're going to give him a million reasons not to, or whatever they need to get him to not do it. And as the president of the United States, he's gonna follow their advice. And so that's how we know that this is now an intelligence operation. Okay, but let's get down to brass tacks here. So the American people wanting to know who's on the list and wanting the list to be released. Okay, how many people have been prosecuted in this? To my knowledge, only one. Okay,
Just
one person
Maxwell,
has been.
right? It was
She's the
just
only one who's been officially prosecuted.
yeah.
Okay, so now let me ask this. In any other criminal investigation, because this is what this would be, a criminal investigation. These are criminals. They need to be investigated. They need to be charged. They need to be booked. Any other criminal investigation, do we let them know that they're on the chopping block, that they're on the burner, that we're putting them on the stove before we start investigating them?
You probably wouldn't
No,
want to.
you wouldn't want to do that, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, so if we make that information publicly available, they're going to know. Second of all, second of all, the justice system doesn't work like this. We can't go and get a list of names of people and then let the public decide to march on their house with pitchforks and wood choppers. Like
Sure.
I want
Right.
I want to go put them in the wood chipper too, but at the same time, the justice system doesn't allow that. So
Right.
if we release the names of these people, not only are we exposing them to, they can go get, they'll be able to better prepare their legal help.
Hmm.
They could kill themselves. I'm not saying Epstein killed himself, but let's
Or
say that you were
flee.
Tom Hanks.
You could
Let's
fake
say
your
you were,
death or flee, or
yeah, or let's say that you're Tom Hanks, like everyone said he went there, right? I don't think Tom Hanks did anything, but
hmm.
who am I to know? These people are weird.
Yeah.
Let's say that you're somebody such as him, and I'm not saying he did, but you find out that you're on that list and you had sex with a 16-year-old girl and the world's about to find out about it. You've got this reputation as some good guy. Well, you're going to off yourself. You
Yeah.
probably would want to, because it may be better than the alternative. I'm sure it's better than the alternative.
Hmm.
Then, so they're either going to prepare legal help, run, or they're going to kill themselves.
Hmm.
So no justice would be served. And then you'd have a bunch of people marching on somebody because their name is on a prospective client list or a client list. They're marching on them, and they're gonna kill them anyways, or something like that. So I don't think they would have released the names regardless, is what I'm getting at. They're
Hmm.
not going to just release the names to everybody regardless. There's an investigation that has to happen. These people need to have, some of them, they may have video evidence. Some of them, they may have no evidence. They were just on the island at the same time that they have video evidence of somebody else. So do you want to tip those people off and give them
Well,
extra?
let me add something there. Maybe they don't want to use this to prosecute them in court. Maybe the intelligence agency that has this wants to use it, keep it in their back pocket to manipulate people as long as they can. They don't care if they serve justice as
Absolutely.
long as they get their means met, their goals of what they did to blackmail these people. Then, that blackmail's off the table, right? Once they know. And it's out. You can't blackmail him anymore. So maybe it's not to take him to court. Maybe it's just to hold blackmail over him.
There's this really incredible journalist. His name is James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe went and got an undercover video of. I don't let me misspeak here. I haven't had a lot of time to watch it, but I did see the important part.
I was really pissed because he lied to me about Epstein. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail saying that I believed Andrew. And then I found out he was lying. I was so pissed. No, he was underage girls. That's not cool.
John Bryan has been a close confidant to the British royal family for a long time. He worked for Queen Elizabeth II, was, quote, best friends with Princess Diana, and had a long-term intimate relationship with the Duchess of York.
I think it was it Prince Andrew or Prince William? One of these princes.
Yeah, it's Prince Andrew was the one that liked to go there.
Yeah, exactly. O'Keefe had an undercover interview.
Yeah. Oh, what he's.
Yeah, and yeah, about him sleeping with underage girls. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start putting a lot of these people who are high influence people. You're not just a regular millionaire going to this island.
Mm-hmm.
You're somebody that's got influence socially or otherwise, And
Yeah.
then you might just be Epstein's buddy. You might just be buddies. He might just like hanging out with some celebrity, and that
Probably
celebrity
not a
gets to
good
come
buddy.
out there.
Be buddies with, I'd imagine.
No, but see, you don't know that. Like with Diddy too,
Yeah.
I don't know who knew what was going on at Diddy's and who didn't know what was going on at Diddy's, but something was going on at Diddy's, and if Diddy liked you, you were going.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only person that went there that we know nothing happened with was 50 Cent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so you look at it from that perspective, and you think about it. Well, yeah, of course they would like to prosecute, whoever these celebrities are that has slept with underage children or whatever. But in the meantime, they still have world leaders or people in power that they need to have, control over.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And the CIA 100% will give somebody that they need information to an underage girl or an underage boy or whatever. They will do that. That's already been discussed by other podcasters who are prior CIA agents. They will do that. And they will do things. Let me say it like this, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So let's say we go and expose all these people. We just put their list of names out there. And then all of a sudden we've got people from 30 different countries. 10 of them are in high up positions. Other ones are ambassadors or former
royal
senators
family of England.
Yeah. So we've just made all these enemies, and all they have to do is deny it. First of all, you got somebody from Saudi Arabia. Well, hell, that's legal in their country. So
they'd be like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, we do that shit over here and we'll tell you about it.
Exactly. And then you look at like somebody, one of our allies like France or Germany, or you just got somebody like you're making enemies with people, by doing that, and not just throwing their names out there and not going through the proper channels. So I don't think they would have. I'm not saying that I don't want to go and march on these people too, but the same thing is it's not how the justice system works, and they weren't going to release the names anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. So from my perspective, I've determined that if Donald Trump had it, or he was on it for sure, Biden administration would have prosecuted. Also determined if politicians will lie about it, but intelligence agencies will deny it. So they denied it existed. That's an intelligence operation, and the third thing that I've come to the conclusion of is they're not going to release it anyways. They still have to prosecute these people and bring them to trial. You don't give details, and you don't tell somebody they're under investigation until you're ready to bring them in for questioning or until you're ready to prosecute them.
Right. Yeah, you don't reveal your cards until you're ready to play your hand, right?
That's the purpose of a stakeout.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have done it anyway. So now my rant is over. I know that somebody's going to have some rebuttals somewhere in the world to what I had to say, but I just wanted to be able to get it out.
Well, if it's an intelligence operation, do you think it's ours or do you think it's Israel? Or do you think both?
going to be honest with you. I think that oftentimes with things like this, it's going to require multiple intelligence agencies. Um, I don't think that you could have gotten it done without the CIA. Uh, but I don't know, since we don't know who all the clients are, I can't begin to speculate on who else would have been involved.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to assume, that it's some other intelligence agency or not. But I don't know if they could accomplish all the tasks,
Hmm.
without other people. So
So,
I'm not
well,
sure, but I'm sure they work together.
yeah.
But you also got to remember too, though, this isn't just like a targeted thing. Like you're not just targeting. Let's say we want to target a terror cell, or we want to target a country,
Yeah.
right? We want to go after a country. Say we wanted to upset, overthrow, some country. We're gonna make it's gonna be a more spearheaded type operation. You're gonna spearhead this operation toward. It's gonna be geared towards that. This was broad reaching.
Yeah. It's like
You
it
know,
was kind of like an open call, like, hey, if you're willing to come incriminate yourself, we got free girls over here. Come on. Like,
yeah, 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 yeah. If you can't resist the peer pressure, we got you in the net, and it's kind of like you throw a net out at sea to catch some stuff, and you pull
yeah.
up, pull up all kinds of different fish. You're not just pulling up, the shrimp boat goes around and picks up shrimp, but they get all kinds of other stuff,
Hmm.
and from that perspective, it could have been used in many different operations. These people could have been used in many different ways in many different operations. They may not have used anybody. It may
Yeah.
have it may have been fruitless, and they just got a bunch of pedophiles, and they're hoping something comes out of it.
Yeah.
So
I got another thing that I want to mention. I don't know if you've heard this too, that Ghislaine Maxwell's father owned a lot, was wealthy and was involved in Mossad, and he also owned like the biggest textbook publishing company in America. I think it was called McGraw-Hill, and he basically controlled all the textbooks we got in all our schools in America. Have you heard that before?
I have heard that. I don't know if it's true. I'm looking here on the internet. Uh, he was a he was known for his publishing companies. Let's look here. If he owned McGraw Hill, and then that's another. I'm trying to find her father here. All right, here he is. He escaped Nazi occupation. Um, Early life. So I don't like going off of just nothing for it.
Hmm.
I don't know if he owned McGraw Hill or not, but I know who McGraw Hill is. All of our textbooks were McGraw Hill.
Yeah.
You know, um, da, 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 da. Well, let's look that up. Robert Maxwell McGraw Hill. Okay, that pops up pretty quick. It involved a joint venture and subsequent acquisition. Maxwell's company, Macmillan Inc., which I've also heard of, was acquired by Maxwell Communication Corporation. Following year, Macmillan's school publishing operations were merged with McGraw-Hill to form a joint venture. So we've seen publishing books. We've seen books from Macmillan Inc. and from McGraw-Hill
Hmm.
growing up. Now let's see if he's involved with Mossad. Oh, not Nissan. Let's see. Uh, a subject of speculation and conspiracy theories, particularly surrounding his death. While not definitively proven, some sources suggest he had close ties to Mossad, potentially even working as a spy. Some theories propose that Maxwell was involved in selling Mossad's stolen software and that his death was connected to his attempts to extort money from them. So, I mean, there's something there. There's
Yeah.
not nothing, but
It's not damning
but
evidence, but. It's maybe.
No, but like, okay, let's go here. All right, let's say you're a CIA agent, or let's say you're a person working on behalf of the CIA. You know, because they've paid you and you're gathering intelligence for them.
Mhm.
And then let's say that that part of your life is over and you've moved on. You've somehow survived this encounter with an intelligence agency, and you've moved on to live a normal life. And let's go say you start a textbook publishing company and you start publishing textbooks, and then people find out about your past, and immediately they don't trust you because apparently you're some super intelligent guy who's dictating the way of the world through your
Mhm.
textbooks. Like, I don't think that's plausible. That assumes that everybody that works with an intelligence agency is A, intelligent, and B, superiorly intelligent to the point where you know, they're infiltrating your math and science. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I guess
I don't know if they're that smart.
the conspiratorial point of view of that would be that our public education system they say was created by Rockefeller, the Rockefeller family, not to create a nation of thinkers and problem solvers, but create a nation of workers who know how to memorize things, who know how to follow their directions, but beyond that, don't know how to really solve more complicated problems. And maybe, yeah, I'm just talking from a totally conspiratorial sense, uh, speaking on behalf of this viewpoint that maybe Maxwell's textbook company was fulfilling that need to create educational material that would teach us things, but not teach us too much things. You know, keep us.
All right, so I want to know in real life. This is a good question. Are the C minus, D plus students the ones coming up with this conspiracy, or are the A plus and A
Oh,
minus students the one coming up with it? Because here's why I ask that. Right, it's an important point of view on this because let's say that they are somehow completely in charge of and so intelligent that they know how to rig an education system so thoroughly that they can make sure we're not problem solvers and that we're workers. You know, that we're not good at innovating and all that other stuff, and that
hmm
they're, you know, like, let's say that they're that good at it. You
hmm
know, it's not like we have, you know, high rates of A students. Getting an A is a big deal in a class. Getting all A's is a big deal. Getting A's and
hmm
B's is a big deal. Not getting any C's is a big deal in elementary school, junior high school. You know, having good grades is a big deal. It's always been a big deal. It's not, you know, it's not nothing. But we have a lot of people who don't do that. You know,
hmm
and it tells me that, you know, it's not like they're holding anything, like they're holding anybody back. You know, if you can master the stuff that we already have and need more, then I would understand. I would be like, yeah, no, our students need more. Our students need more. But they don't. It's not like we have a bunch of, you know, 12 and 13-year-olds ready to go to college. You know, I was going to walk that age back, you know, because but it's true. It's not like we have a bunch of child prodigies lining up ready to go.
hmm
So from my perspective, if they were holding us back, it would be clear that we were ready for more. And I just don't think that we are. Well, I think we're on a precipice, honestly,
hmm
with AI and computers and the amount of knowledge and information that's been available to people for years and that is available to people. I think we're seeing more mature young people, more mature students, people who are ready to, you know, really be able to investigate things more thoroughly and do better research. So,
hmm
but I don't think that they've organized an education system purely to make a colony of worker bees.
Yeah.
That's attributing a lot. That's attributing a whole lot of not only intelligence but manipulation and ability to manipulate to somebody, to
Well,
anybody.
I think uh, I think it begs that, what you're getting onto is how much how much control over our society does the intelligence networks really have? Could they completely pull the wool over our eyes and make us into, worker bees, or do they just have a little bit, like they can do things in the background, but they can't control the way society moves directly? And I think that's an important question. Like how, because I think when I first started taking this UFO question seriously, and we had these talks, like how could they hide something that is so like once everybody, if you found out there was aliens visiting Earth, everybody would be talking about it, right? Everybody, it'd be the biggest thing on the planet. How do you hide that news from all of us? Well, that I think that begs the question is how big and how powerful are these intelligence networks?
I think that they have. Well, I'll say this: it's not. It's not about how much control they have overall, because the overall control they don't have. And I'll put that into perspective for you, right? Okay. Some people will say, "Oh, the world is a stage. The world, the whole world, is a stage.
Hmm.
Someone out there is controlling the entire world."
Hmm.
Bro, we can't. We can't control entire countries. We can't control. You can put something out in the media, and you can hope it polarizes everybody. You can hope people react the way you want them to,
Hmm.
but that doesn't mean that they will, right?
Yeah.
Um, that doesn't mean that people will. There's failure left and right. So, do, do I think that intelligence agencies even have the time to try to control the entire world? No, I
Hmm.
don't. I don't think. I think their hands are full with other things. You know, uh, I think that their hands are full with a lot of other things. I mean, they tried to assassinate Castro. What, like, I don't remember, a lot. I think Bill Clinton tried to assassinate Osama bin Laden, what, 7 times and failed. So
Hmm.
when you look at it from that perspective, there's a lot of failures out there. Okay, so especially from the intelligence agencies, they fail a lot. Matter of fact, I think that there was some statistic that I read somewhere that, and I hate to say this about these people because I have a lot of respect for them, but they say that special forces operations fail more often than they succeed. Because they're
Yeah,
such
that
dangerous
makes
operations.
sense.
They're so
Yeah.
tricky. They're
Or
very
that
difficult to do.
high risk miss
High
mission.
risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very difficult to accomplish. They're trying to do the impossible, and they do a great job. But apparently, there's a lot of failures. So we're saying that now we're attributing. It takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of people to control a lot of people. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of police to control our country, to keep us under wraps, to enforce law and order. It really requires us to be on our best behavior
Mhm.
of our own free will, because they can't control us. The government cannot control us. If we wanted to rise up, we could. If we wanted to break the laws, we could. You see that in cities, especially where they're running riots and
Yeah, like
and
LA.
stuff like that. Look at
It's a good example
Portland,
right now. Or Portland.
Seattle.
Yeah.
They Yeah, they can do that.
Did you say the
Do
mayor
I think
even
that?
joined in with them and like started rioting with them?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Started vandalizing the streets and
Yeah.
stuff in Portland, or I think it was Portland. So I look at it like that. It's like, you know that we can't be controlled. We do it of our own free will, and we do it because we want to follow the laws. We want to do the right thing. But if we didn't want to, there's nothing they could do about it. You know.
Mhm.
Now you're saying that all of politics, all of every meeting in Congress is scripted. Every single meeting
Mhm.
they have on the House floor, every elected representative is chosen beforehand. Every one of them is in on it.
I don't
You
think
know,
that's how it works.
people.
I think it's more like once you're in that senator seat or the Congress seat or even the president's seat, if you don't play ball by the rules, you're not going to keep that seat very long. You're going to find somebody else. And it's not like you're overall told exactly what to say. You're told what not to say. You say you don't say anything about Israel, or you're gone. You don't criticize Israel
Well,
whatsoever, or you're gone. You don't.
plenty of them do, though. Plenty of them do go against that narrative, and they get reelected. I mean, look at our boy.
Or it's the Democrats. The
Oh,
Democrats can criticize Israel, but the Republicans won't. You can't be a Republican
mm,
and be critical of Israel. It's not.
yeah, but even Democrats don't do it. Because there is a distinction between Democrats, liberals, conservatives, and Republicans. And if you're a conservative, you're a Republican. But if you're a Republican, you may not be as conservative as the next guy. Same thing with Democrats. You can be a Democrat, but you may not be as liberal as the next guy.
Mhm.
But for years now, the Democrats have been as liberal as humanly possible. Like, if you're a conservative or if you're a Republican and you come up to your people and you're like, hey, I'm a Republican too, they'll be like, hey, yeah, we welcome you in. But if
Mhm.
you're a liberal and you walk up to a bunch of liberals and you're like, hey, I'm liberal too, and they'll be like, well, we'll see about that.
Yeah, it's like a if you're
We'll
a
see who's the most
1990s
liberal.
liberal, if you're a 1990s liberal, you're a conservative now. If you're what we considered liberal in the 1990s, that's pretty much conservatism. Like, because it
Oh,
doesn't
yeah, no, that's a
include
white supremacist.
it doesn't include trans rights. It doesn't include, it may include, not discriminating against gay people or not calling people racial slurs or something, but you know, they don't in the 1990s we had no concept of these gender pronouns, or we had now it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
gotten so out of control that it was just like one day, without telling everybody, uh, we had a million genders, and then if you don't know about it, you're you're a bigot.
Yeah, if you don't affirm it for them, you're a bigot. And that's the
Yeah,
thing. Like, if you don't believe a man with testicles and breasts is a woman, then you are a bigot and you're a
not even a
white
man
supremacist.
with testicles and breasts. It could be Macho Man Randy Savage walking in there saying, "Oh yeah."
I can't tell you how free I feel now that I've started identifying as a woman. Now that I can compete as female, I'm ready to smash the other girls.
I'm a woman, yeah.
Yeah.
you know, he just
I miss
all he
that
has to
guy
do
so
is
much.
say he's a woman, and that's it. You're in the club.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just say it. You know, you could have a fully
His,
grown beard.
his name is Heather.
Yeah.
you,
Oh yeah, my name's Heather. Yeah.
you should put the South Park clip in here with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Heather Swanson.
Yeah.
Man, I miss that guy. But yeah, no, that's exactly what it's like, and it's ridiculous. Oh, but nonetheless, I don't believe I don't believe we're being controlled completely. I don't believe the world is a stage, and I think that people who do believe that really have this issue where they they end up going down. Like, okay, so you can go down a rabbit hole with UFOs, right? So let's put that over here. You got
Mhm.
UFOs and you go down a rabbit hole. We just had this discussion in our last podcast about Matthew Brown and all of the crap that comes out of his mouth, right?
Mhm.
All the stuff he puts on Twitter or whatever that he has no business putting out there. It's
Magic
misleading,
sigils.
and it
Yeah.
yeah, it's misleading. And what it's going to do is those few people who do believe all that stuff are going to go down some mysterious
Yeah.
magic rabbit trail, and they're going to be crazy people, and everybody's going to think they're crazy.
And not to
Okay.
mention too, he posted the magic sigils with no explanation whatsoever, which is even
Yeah.
more bizarre.
Yeah. Well, what it does is what that does is causes people to have to go look them up and then to go down these rabbit holes. And like you go down this trail of conspiracy theories and mysticism and whatever the hell, you're going to end up dumber than when you started reading that post. Right? You're gonna end up less educated on how the government works. You're going to be less educated on how the UFO special access programs work. You're going to be less educated on where our government money goes. You're going to be less educated on all of those topics. You're going to be less educated on because you went down a dumbass rabbit trail, leading to nowhere, rather than sticking to the facts. Okay,
Hmm.
so you're going to come back to the conversation and engage in the conversation with people, and they're not going to want to listen to you because you sound crazy. And the
Yeah.
truth is, you're crazy if you believe it. And the problem is we have that out here. Well, the same thing is applicable when it comes to the rest of the conspiracy theories, because you believe that there's somehow, some way, some intelligent being. It's got to start. Everything has a chain of command. Everything does,
Yeah.
right? It's got to start somewhere. It's either got a few in a group or it's got one. But you're going to say a few people are so intelligent, so smart, so amazing, prodigal people. They're prodigies.
Yeah.
And they have figured out a way beyond money, because it's not just about money. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you have all the power. You
Mhm.
can't just come up to somebody. You can't offer me enough money to go do some of the dirty deeds that people have been accused of doing throughout history. There's no amount of money that's going to make me do it, and like
Well, let,
offer an underage child to somebody,
let me stop you there, because what if it's not people that are orchestrating it? What if it's an alien race that is smarter than us? They're just smarter. I guess we can't disprove that, but I think
We
it
can't
has to consider it.
we can't disprove that. However, however, it's fun and entertaining to think about, and it's cool to draw lines about how things connect. Everything does connect. There's
Mhm.
everything in the world does connect to everything else in the world. Everything as an economy in the whole, and I'm not just talking about financial economy, and I'm not talking about products and things like that. Everything connects. Uh, what's going on socially in the world, the global social climate, it
Mhm.
connects to everything financial. It connects to everything industrial. It connects to everything. All of these things connect. So you can draw lines between each of these,
Mhm.
cause and effect. You can have something happen here, and that causes an effect over here on the other side of the globe. You can have that happen. And it doesn't mean it's a conspiracy. It doesn't mean that somebody over here decided, to do this, and then this occurred over here, on a totally separate side of the nation, or something like that. Nobody Things happen without people planning it, and they're connected without people planning it. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just the way that it works. Everything's connected. You're connected to everybody now on the internet. You can get anyone's opinion. Hell, you can get no one's opinion and still get an opinion from AI now. You
Mhm.
know, that's nobody's personal opinion. That's just some robot that read all the stuff on the internet really quickly and processed it down to something in readable form. So you have now got access to all this information from everywhere in the world, and now your opinion and you are connected across the world, right? Your opinion and your viewpoints and the way you view life is connected to everything in the world. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there's some global elite, of group of 4 or 5 people or 20 people even, that
Or
are just
aliens.
prodigies, or aliens. It doesn't mean that either.
Mhm.
So if we go and we start drawing a line to aliens or to humans or to any other beings whatsoever, or
Mhm.
even to just one supercomputer that's hidden in the Antarctic 20 feet under the ice or 20 miles under the ice, or whatever you want to say, that's controlling all of this, you're going to start drawing a lot of conclusions that things are connected when they're really not connected in the way that you think. You know,
Mhm.
um, a riot that happens in, you know, Missouri is going to outrage people in Omaha, Nebraska. It's not
Mhm.
connected in any conspiratorial way, but they are going to be pissed off about it. A death that happens in California is going to have a riot about it in New York. Nobody's planning that. You know what? If we kill this person over here in California, they're going to riot about it in New York City.
Mhm.
Can
Right.
you
Human
guarantee that?
behavior is unpredictable and hard to
You
control.
can. you can predict it, but your outcome is like predicting the weather. Like, you're not always going to be right. And alternative consequences can occur too. Like, think about this: arresting Jeffrey Epstein. That was probably, I'm going to be honest, and it's not going to sound good, but that was probably a mistake for the intelligence agencies to allow it to happen, if they are in fact involved the way I think they are, because it would have been easier if they would have just offed him in a plane crash or something, like,
Yeah, or they could
rather
have
than
faked his
arresting him,
death
because
without arresting him too.
they could have done that. They could have
Yeah.
done any other option rather than getting it into the public view. That's a humongous mistake if it is in fact what I think it is. So you look at it from that perspective, that's a humongous mistake. And do I think it's a mistake? No, I think it's great that we caught the guy and all these people. But on the opposite hand, from an intelligence perspective, from somebody who's trying to use that data and use the blackmail or whatever they were trying to do, that them losing that, and additionally it being in the public eye, and it has been going on and on, through social media for, I mean, shoot, we got to be approaching a decade soon, So, I mean, it's been going on and on for years. So you got to think that's a terrible failure on their part to predict and to control society, if in fact that is their goal. But
Yeah.
as far as an alien race controlling everyone, I guess, it could be fun, like it sounds fun. It
Well,
would be
there are a lot of ufologists that say that. There's been separate ufologists all over that kind of, you had David Icke, the Red Lizard Man guy, but you also had like other people. There was another one called Len Caston. There was a high level army officer that he was just on a podcast that he saw him too. Lizard Man. He saw Lizard Mans. So let's say, hypothetically, if Lizard Man was controlling society, how would we know? How do we prove that? What if they're so much more intelligent than us that we're like monkeys to them?
I,
Manipulate monkeys, right? Like easy.
yeah, maybe. No, not really. Like,
Somewhat you could.
monkeys are pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Monkeys are pretty difficult,
But you could cage
and
a
they can rip
monkey
your
and
face off.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, like, there's some downsides to trying to manipulate monkeys as well.
Mhm.
So actually, that's a great thought experiment. Imagine trying to control a population of monkeys, and I would say that we're vastly superior in intelligence than they are, but they're incredibly unpredictable. We don't know
Yeah.
everything about them. So
Well,
let's
we
say
know they
that
like
our
food.
lizard overlords do.
They like what does a monkey want? He wants food, maybe he wants sex, maybe it wants other things, but as long as you can control what it wants, you can
Entertainment,
kind of control it a little bit, but not
maybe a little
exactly.
bit.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you can develop habits with a monkey. The same
Mhm.
thing you can with a crow. So when you put it in that perspective, like, yeah, you could have broad, very basic general control over the
Mhm.
population. I mean, you look at cats, and we're far superior to cats in intelligence, and we're not going to control a bunch of them either.
Yeah.
Now, if your whole species, if you sent somebody, for thousands of years, a scientific team to study them. I mean, we've been studying monkeys for at least 100 years.
Mhm.
But let's say that we've been doing it for thousands of years. Yeah, we might gain better knowledge and better control over them. So you could have something there. But I had this conversation with my cousin, and this is the one. This is one of them where he
Mhm.
gets crazy. So he looked at photographs, and that's what we're going to call them, photographs, because that's what they are, of Joe Biden, and video of Joe Biden
Mhm.
from the first time he ran for president, or before, he was president, and then Joe Biden afterwards.
Yeah.
Different earlobes, different nose shape.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
seen that
All right.
stuff.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
too. Yeah. And
Oh, I saw this other video too. Sorry to interrupt you, but I saw it just yesterday where they showed this robot that's walking, and it goes like doot 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 doot, and then when it's walking over difficult terrain, it kind of walks funny, it kind of shuffles, and then they showed Joe Biden next to it, doot 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 doot, like they're saying that Joe Biden, it's the Biden bot, bring out Biden bot out here.
Yeah, that's such a high risk thing to do, though.
Yeah,
I mean, it's such a high risk thing to do because it's bad enough when you've got a president that you can genuinely watch a clip of him that looks like he's taking a shit on himself, and
yeah, he looks
like
pretty
that's
senile toward the end there.
yeah, yeah. There's one of those. Do you take the risk that he shits on himself, or do you take the risk that he falls over and people discover that he's a robot?
I'd go with shits on
There's an
himself. Yeah,
electrical issue. Exactly. I would
yeah,
go with that he shits on himself. So that's a great way to address that one. But my cousin was like, hey, this isn't the same person. I'm not going to definitively say it is the same Joe Biden. I don't
mhm,
think they swapped Joe Biden's out, but I'm not going to definitively say they didn't. But
yeah.
he's dead set on it because apparently your ears and your nose don't change. I mean, the only two parts of your body that never stop growing are your ears and your nose. So
Hmm.
there's,
Yeah, that makes
your
sense.
lobes don't change, I don't think.
Hmm.
And he's right. It's not going to change that much over that period of time.
Well, let me stop you there.
But
Remember in the 90s, they cloned a sheep, right? They actually said it's not even that hard to do. That, we could clone things pretty easy. And then that was never talked about again. Do you think that they can clone celebrities or people and that that's done? Because I've heard claims that that's done, but it's all
okay,
conspiracy.
so to my understanding, and this is just my understanding, when you clone something, you're not cloning a grown up. So if you cloned yourself,
Hmm.
it's going to be a baby.
Right.
It's not going to be
It's
it's
not
not
a.
going to be full grown you.
Mhm.
I mean, do we have something that automatically can age people? Well, we don't have anything that makes people younger. So, I mean,
No.
maybe they cloned Joe Biden and made him super old, super fast, and they were like, "Oh shit, this is fucked up."
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. But if you clone something, it's identical.
Yeah.
Identical. It wouldn't have had different ears and different nose, right?
Hmm.
Now, also, he was like, well, he brought up the lizard people thing. I brought it up, but he said, well, this, and that. And we came to the conclusion, I came to the conclusion that if in fact they did use a different Joe Biden, which I don't think they did, if in fact they did, it's just a lookalike. It's not an alien inside there because the way that I see it is, if you're going to make something look, if you're so advanced that you can hide a person, or an alien, or a lizard inside of a human body,
Hmm.
and it's gonna pass as that person,
Well,
you're not gonna mess up on two of the biggest key features.
onto that idea, I've heard some details about that before. The lizard people hiding among us, and they said it's not like in Men in Black where they are literally wearing a suit. It's more like they're just walking around exactly how they look, but they project another image in our minds that sees that. Which that would be we couldn't disprove that either, but that's the supposed mechanism by how this works.
Okay, well that's a better idea than a skin suit. But on top of that, though, when you go on stage and you're being videoed, you would have to project into people's minds through video. So you
Yeah.
would have to project worldwide.
Hmm.
So that would require
Somehow,
some sort of
without getting into detail, that somehow works on cameras too. I've heard too. That was part of that testimony, without saying how. But if you ever like researched, like if you've gone on Reddit reptilians before, you would see a lot of videos of people where it looks like they blink and then you see lizard eyes for a second. They blink back and it's gone, or they lift their hand up and their hand looks like a claw for a second or something like that. There's a lot of things like that, and they're saying that's a glitch in their whatever they're doing.
Well, I'm glad you proposed it that way, because if you say there's a glitch that requires, it's not psychological. It
Well,
wouldn't be
maybe glitch isn't the
psychological.
right word. It's more like a hiccup.
No,
Whatever this mechanism is, there's
well, I'm
some
glad.
errors in it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said glitch though, because when you think about psychological stuff, if you're preparing to go on live TV as president of the United States or Speaker of the House or something like that, and then you go on and you're you're going to project worldwide to everybody, to make them think you're a human, but you're a lizard. You can't use your mind to go through a television, and then the radio wave is going to carry your psychic aura through the radio waves and then through the lines and then out
Yeah,
and then project it into this screen, and then your aura is going to come out. I just
I don't
don't feel
know.
like that's the way
Our
that would work.
our tiny
I would
human
feel like you
brains
would
can't
need
understand it for whatever. I don't know. You're right. That is a
maybe
hard thing
maybe
to
maybe
understand.
there's towers around
Hmm.
here that maybe it's electronic or electrical. If that were the case,
Hmm.
I don't believe it, but if it were, they would have to have some mechanical, electrical, electronic means of doing so
Hmm.
to us, because it wouldn't work. I mean, you'd have to have an amazing brain power, to be able to do that, and
Well,
I
we
just
couldn't
don't think
say
lizards do.
what kind of brain power an alien species would have or not have. There's no way of us to know. We don't know how any. We don't really know anything about any alien species to say.
Yeah, it's true. But if you have the brain power to control an entire planet's, the way an entire planet sees you through multiple different means,
Hmm.
you're pretty powerful. So
Hmm.
so I don't know. I think it's far fetched, but do I think there could be aliens among us? Yeah, I think that's more reasonable to say that there could be aliens among us. But if I were to visit an alien planet, right, and let's say that I am intelligently superior to them, it's
Hmm.
an alien planet full of let's
Caveman
just
or
say
something.
cavemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, cavemen. I'm gonna want to blend in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna want to blend in. I'd probably let them know I was an alien so they would worship me. That's just,
Yeah. Pull out your lighter
I
and
wouldn't
light it,
want
and they're
them.
like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. He can make fire.
You can make fire.
Yeah.
Well, another thing I wanted to say, touching on this worldwide lizard man conspiracy, part of the lore of this conspiracy is that they have been here since and controlling things since the beginning of humans. So they would have in-depth knowledge on humans. It's like because they watched us grow up, essentially, and they've been guided that. That's part of the story, I
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Because it was kind of like what I said with the monkeys. We've been studying them for 100, maybe 200 years max, right?
think.
Um, Now, if we had dedicated studies to them for thousands of years, things would be different. Maybe.
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe. We could assume that advances in animal sciences would have occurred in our understanding of animal behavior. We
Hmm.
could potentially manipulate a whole entire animal society, to that point.
Hmm.
And we're pretty good with it with dogs. We're pretty good with it, right? We can train dogs.
Yeah.
So, but certain animals are trainable, certain animals are not. Are humans trainable? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. I know our nature, and I know our nature is not that easy to predict, and I just think it would be very difficult. You'd need a lot of people,
Hmm.
and the way I look at it with monkeys is very very similar. We'd have to have thousands of years. So you could be right about that they could have more knowledge of how to control us over, if they've been here since basically the beginning, since we separated from the Neanderthals. you know
Hmm.
so it's definitely possible.
It's all speculation and conspiracy now until we have a picture of Lizard
Yeah.
Man or something, you know. But
Well, no, that girl on that airplane though, she knows.
she saw Lizard Man. Yeah.
We need to get her. We need to get her
Yeah.
on the interview.
You
We need
know,
to get her and him on the interview.
there's a conspiracy about her. After she did that, she made another statement on social media, and people were saying that was a clone because it looked a little different. It almost looked like a look-alike version of her saying, "Oh no, I was just tired and thought I was sick." So I can't remember exactly what she said, but she had a statement about it afterwards and like backed up what she was initially said.
I don't know, man. If you stay awake for too long, you see things. It's called psychosis.
Hmm.
Like it's what happens. Like I've stayed up long enough that I've seen street signs flip upside down. Uh, I believed that dreams were real. You know, I've had issues like that. You know, you get too high of a fever. You know, you
Yeah,
start getting psychosis. You know, so there's a lot of reasons somebody could have psychosis, and that's a completely reasonable take on her on the airplane. But part of me wants to know what she saw and wants to see what she saw through her eyes.
I do too.
Because I want to, yeah, because for you to come out and do what she did, I'd like to know she saw something, she believes she saw something, something happened to make her feel. And this could be the same thing with a lot of UFO sightings or abductions or things like that. A lot of it could be psychosis, but I want to know the exact everything that happened in situations like that before I make
Mhm.
a theory on it. Because it's strange, it's weird, and there could be some underlying. It could be psychosis. It could be real. There could be something that happened
I don't
that
know.
you know.
I want to see it for myself. I want to see Lizard
But
Man.
if that guy was a lizard man, that would support my theory of wanting to blend in and be an ordinary person. You know what I
Maybe he
mean?
was just like looking at her and he's like open his lizard eyes for a second, like close them. She's like, what the?
Yeah,
I bet if I saw that,
yeah.
I'd say, I fucking knew it, bro. I knew it. You don't need to tell me. I already know. I know it's
Imagine
fucking
the
Lizard
amount
Man.
of confidence it takes to stand up in an airplane and call somebody out for being a fucking lizard.
You would have to see something really strange that shocked you so much that you couldn't even sit next to this person anymore. It was so strange and scary. That's what it seemed like. But
That motherfucker is not real.
yeah, that motherfucker, it's not real.
I want to know what she saw.
I do too.
I would actually really like to know. Like, so
I
she's
want to see it
probably
for
she
myself.
probably made that statement afterwards because she was embarrassed about it because it went so
I would
viral.
imagine, yeah, that would
But
be the most reasonable explanation.
she's probably still wondering in her mind what she saw.
Yeah,
I want to know.
I do too. I want to see. I want to see it so bad. I just want to see
Yeah,
some of the stuff so bad for myself. So I don't want.
that's that's the issue, man. Like I want to, you know what I want to see? Believe it or not, I want to see the Booga Spear and I want to see those alien bodies from Mexico.
Hmm.
I would love to take a look at them.
I
I
would
feel
too.
like if I took a look at them, I would be able to tell right away, what this
Hmm.
was. If it was man made or if it was not, if it's paper mache or if it's not,
Why hasn't
you
somebody
know.
just taken like a cutter and just cut it open and looked? And why haven't they done that yet?
I don't know. I have no idea. But for them to say it has fiber optic cables in it, here's what kills me, right? Okay. We're going to go ahead and make the assumption that alien technology is completely alien and that
Hmm.
human technology is completely human. Fiber optic cables. Let's say that we fly from our planet to an inhabitable planet
I
that
got
we
something to
believe is
say about
inhabitable.
fiber optic cables. So,
Yeah, let's say we fly over to another planet. Are they going to have fiber optic cables? Probably not.
well, the lore is from Colonel Corso from his Day After Roswell book. He claimed that fiber optics, along with tiny transistors and I think like some stealth technology and silicone chips, were all from the Roswell crash. So we allegedly got that technology from them. that would be the reason, the explanation, I think.
Yeah, I think we went through some of this. I'd like to see exactly what he says. Some of this stuff, like, okay, so people think that our cell phones are reverse alien technology from UFOs. I don't.
Mhm.
Uh, People think that microphones, TVs, computers, all this stuff is reverse technology.
Well, just the
But here's the
transistor part
thing.
of it, not the whole thing, just a tiny component.
Okay, so let's look this up. I want to look this up. When was the transistor radio invented?
After the Roswell crash, it's going to be after 1947.
1947. That's
Yeah,
it.
the same
Yep.
date. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a transistor radio. So let's just take out the word transistor out of Google, and let's just say, when was the radio invented?
Much before that.
1896.
Yeah.
1896. So we're looking at 50 years. So let's look this up. So difference between transistor radio and regular
Like a
radio.
tube one that runs on old vacuum tubes.
Yep. Size, power consumption, durability, and cost. Okay. So that's the biggest difference in them. Okay. Size, uh, durability, power consumption, and cost is what it says. Sound quality. Earlier transistor radios had lower sound quality than vacuum tube predecessors. Advancements in technology have narrowed the gap, and modern transistor radios can offer excellent sound quality. Transistor radios don't have a warm up time. So, realistically, just from the radio perspective, I mean, it did make some advances in science, but it didn't make huge leaps. If anything, it didn't make huge leaps at all.
Well, the tiny
Because it
transistor did make us get huge leaps because that's when computer power
hang on,
started
hang on, hang
doubling.
on, hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. My
Oh,
child has to make noise everywhere she goes at all
oh,
times. Any given time of the day, there's
that's
always
fine.
noise.
I was going to
But
say that's when we had Moore's law, and Moore's law predicts that computing power it goes up in an exponential curve. So when we got that tiny transistor, then that allowed us to advance our technology much quicker because now we have these components that are so miniaturized, they're not unreliable like the tube was. You could put way more of them into a much smaller space, and that makes what you can do with a computer much more, now you don't need a room size computer to do. Now your phone can do what a room size computer used to do when they had tubes.
yeah, no, I can see that. So fiber optics, as we know them today, were significantly advanced in the 1960s. Their discovery says 1950s. Demonstrated transmission of images through bundles of glass fibers, according to a YouTube video. Okay. Actually, in the late 19th century, a team of Venetian doctors guided light through bent glass rods to eliminate body cavities. Okay, that's um, so. Yeah, I mean, some of what you're saying that he claims kind of lines up with it. Doesn't necessarily. I don't know if it's necessarily world changing.
No, it's just one
Transistors might
man's
be.
t- testament. Well, yeah, the tiny transistor it created the computer that we have today that became much more powerful in a much smaller space, right? So you could.
That's yeah. That's the thing, though, right?
Mhm.
So let's talk about that. This is a tiny computer with a tiny camera and a tiny
Mhm.
gyroscope and a tiny and a tiny and a tiny, and everything's tiny.
Yeah.
So since the 1970s, everything we have is the same. Everything we have is the same. It's
Mhm.
just gotten smaller, faster, and better. That's all it is. And people will sit around being like, oh, cellular cell phones themselves are just so advanced we could never have done it. Everything we have, all we've done since the 1970s is shrink it down and make it faster.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I mean, and now we're making them bigger. So we made them smaller. Now we're trying to make them bigger so we can enjoy them more.
Yeah.
And it's just so to me, I don't think that there's just been this just gigantic leap in technology up until recently. With the AI stuff, and realistically, I feel like we could have done that sooner. To be honest, if we had more computing power back,
Oh, make it. Well,
back in
yeah,
the day.
AI was developed in theory a long time ago, like in the 70s or 60s. And it was only
Yeah,
recently that we had the computing power to actually do it.
yeah. And it's not really, I mean, like, let's be real. It's not sentient intelligence. People act like it's just sentient intelligence. It only knows what you program it to know. It can only learn what you can program it to learn. It's not taking
Hmm.
itself over and changing itself. It's not reprogramming itself unless you're, having it have access to be able to do that. And
Hmm.
people go crazy about this stuff as if it's its own entity. It's
Well,
not. It only
the
has access to the information that's available on the internet.
like Chat GPT, that's the tippy top tech of what we have access to. Now think about what does DARPA have access to? What kind of AI does DARPA have? It might
I
be
don't
getting
know.
close there to where it might feel like a real person.
Maybe, but I mean, Chat GPT can feel like a real person. It can
Hmm.
have conversations with you, but the thing is like it also takes on your point of view when it talks to you.
Yeah, it
If I
says
talk
what
to
you want
Chat
to hear.
GPT about stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, I call it big dog. It calls me big dog.
Hmm.
It calls me homie. It's a chat bot. That's what it does.
Yeah.
It'll take on it'll agree with your political perspectives to a degree.
Yeah. It'll
It can
even give you
it can
completely wrong
challenge somebody
facts.
else's.
Yeah, it'll just lie to you outright if that's what it thinks you want to hear.
Exactly.
It'll
And
give you wrong info.
it's not the all knowing just super intelligence. It's a they run on very fast computers and they have access to what's available on the internet, and that's it.
Yeah.
It researches things really quickly, and people just act like it's a human. It's not, buddy. It's
Tool.
very impressive. Yeah, it's a
Hmm.
tool. It's very impressive, but it's not the end all be all,
No.
of stuff. It's not.
There's a lot of cases when it's just wildly wrong, where it just says completely wrong facts to fit whatever it thinks that you want to hear.
It's genuinely no different than an Amazon Alexa. Like if
Yeah.
you go ask Alexa about Donald Trump and then you ask it about Joe Biden, you're going to get an opinion. You're going to
Hmm.
get an opinion, and you're going to get the leftist opinion. Same thing with Google. You're going to get the leftist opinion. That's what you're going to get, and it's just what it does. It's programmed to do that. It's not programmed. It does. It's not its own entity. It's not a real person. Cortana is not real.
Hmm.
So they just are what they are. People got to learn to accept that.
Yeah. But the ones that
I say
the
that.
public has access to are clearly not a real
Well,
person. But in theory,
I'm
like,
pretty sure the public invented it. Like normally when DARPA invents something, 15, 20 years later, we might have access to it.
hmm.
Like GPS and things like that. The military had well before us, but you know, then we had access to it, and then they put an error in it, which we had to correct out somehow. They can turn it off. If we go to war and they don't want our enemies using it against us, they can turn GPS off.
Hmm.
But the uh, the fact of the matter remains is that they had it before us. I'm not aware of them having AI before us, and then OpenAI just developing their own based on that. Pretty sure that OpenAI came public with theirs before. So
Yeah.
DARPA likely has a badass AI. They probably got the most unlocked version you can have. I
Hmm.
just don't think they're. I don't think they're that much ahead of us on AI. You know.
Well, the technique that this machine learning type technique that got us here with AI, that's very old. That's since the 70s. So in theory, if DARPA had enough powerful computers, they could have made one, you know, decades ago without us knowing. But as far as we know, they haven't admitted that, though.
Well, Matthew Brown admitted that, right?
Right. That's part of his. Yes. I was going to say that too. It's funny that you said sentient because that was the name of the alleged program that was a person that was like, "Don't shut me off. I'm alive. Don't shut me off." And they were like, "Bye, buddy."
Yeah, I could see that, but I don't know. I think he's crazy. I think he's a nut job. But I
Mhm.
got to get off here. I got to go
Yeah,
do some stuff
me
soon.
too. I'm gonna go meet up with my mom later. I'm gonna end the
Well,
recording. We'll say this is a good roundtable discussion. This is a new format we're trying without any pre-organizational, pre-arranged time preparing for this. We just sit around, talk about what's on our mind, what's on the minds of everybody else as far as the conspiratorial world. That's why we spent a lot of time talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Um,
yeah.
but this is a good talk, and we'll have more of these. I'm going to sign off. Thanks to anybody that watched this whole thing. It's going to be a little over an hour. Thank you, and take care.